Hello, traders. End of the week market analysis. This is a beautiful Sunday morning at my end, 14th of September 2025. And this week I thought no fancy intro videos. Let's straight away get into the work and try and understand how the market closed last week and how we should strategize for the week ahead. And by the way, if you like the way I present these analysis to you, and if you like my work, do subscribe. I do get this question, why your subscribers are so low. I have no clue. The only thing that I can say is probably they don't like my work. But if you do subscribe and share your thoughts in the comment section. So, having said that, let's quickly take a look at the charts. Now, today I'm going to use one chart at a time. It's going to give me enough real estate to observe the chart and share with you my thoughts. So, this is the Nifty weekly time frame. I have my usual Next Price and Next RSI proprietary indicators, and these two indicators are more than enough. Well, first thing, I'm going to change my Heikin-Ashi chart to the bar chart. The reason for this shift is we will be able to understand for the last 2 consecutive weeks, the index has managed a pretty good bounce back, and it's a pretty good close also, almost at the highest point of the week. Just some time back, we also had a 2-week bounce back, which did not sustain. This was just 3 weeks back, isn't it? And so, number one, this support area close to 24,400. Yet again, it holds well. So it has become an important support area to talk about in the near future. And with the bounce back, the index is also back to its previous fractal high from where a meaningful correction had come in the recent past. Momentum indicator, based on my RSI, is okay, nothing great. Trend indicator is also flattish. Essentially, we're looking at a range-bound market. But the Heikin has improved. This is a solid green positive Heikin without any lower shadow. Similar kind of a formation did take place a few weeks back, which did not sustain. So going forward from the weekly chart, we do not get any much clarity. Strong positive readings? No. Strong negative readings? Also no. But what we would like to see from a bullish point of view is a move above last week's high and preferably a sustain somewhere here. Maybe a short pullback, a smaller pullback, and not something very, very deep. To understand this pullback, what we should do is we should go down to the daily time frame. Now, this is the daily chart, and the index has been on a pretty decent bounce back mode. If I change this to bar chart, you will realize that for 8 consecutive days, the market has closed positive. So it's a slightly little, you can say, might get tired and stretched starting early next week. After 8 consecutive positive days, it will be unjust. It will not be right that you expect further continuous rally. You should be little sensible. And even if we see some bit of a consolidation right at the resistance area, it's not a bad expectation of the market slowing down. So do not expect one-way rally next week. Even if it consolidates, it's fine. What is not fine is this has been the size of the move, the recent move. And so I always say is you can let go of 50%. Anything sub 50% makes this rally questionable. So even if it comes down and let's say I have a small little gap up here, we should respect that. 24,890, so around 24,900, right? So let's say 24,800, 900 kind of zone. So even if the index comes down, takes a breather, and then gives us the next leg on the upside, it's completely fine. What is not fine is a deeper correction like we got last time. Because in that case, we don't get the confidence that which one should we believe? Should we believe in the sell-off or should we believe in the rally? Okay? So corrections should be relatively smaller than the erstwhile rallies. Or in this case, it's a bounce back. On my daily chart, I have these 2 beautiful range zones drawn. This one on the upper, this red one is for resistances, perceived resistances. And I'm taking the cues from these highs, essentially these 3 areas. The bottom one is, of course, perceived support, and more or less both these zones have enough evidences in the past, which makes me draw these and they have certain relevance. Just because they had reacted from this area in the past does not necessarily mean that it will also react this time. Anything can happen, but we have kept this area drawn. And in terms of levels, it's around 25,000, 150, 100 to, let's say 25, 150 to 25, 250 kind of an area on the top. And around 24, we spoke about this gap, which is around 24,900. So around 24,800, 24,900 on the downside, short term, and this area on the upside. This support is from now has become an intermediate support. And of course, if the market manages to break out and sustain and give another leg on the upside, if that happens, then of course we will start talking about these levels. But vidilli dura, let's not go there right now. We'll take it one day at a time. We'll take it 1 week at a time. Daily charts are much better positioned. The daily momentum indicator had improved quite some days back. My state of flow has improved significantly. And if I move back to my usual Heiken-Ashi, I also have a pretty decent, strong Heiken-Ashi for the last 5. So with this readings, with the weekly and the daily combined, most of the readings, most of the markers are positive. So strategy should be look for long trades. Now, because the index has already moved up for 8 consecutive daily sessions, it's a better idea that you wait for a bit of a consolidation, pullback, and then expect further bullishness. So view bullish, aggressively bullish. No, little bit of caution is there, but do not try to short this market at this juncture right now. Before we go on to the broader markets and the sectoral charts, it is important to understand that the market's move off late has been pretty choppy, if I consider a couple of months, which means that if you are a short-term trader, you do not take the market for granted going forward. This is not a very stable, strong uptrend. So be very, be on your toes and keep an eye on the price behavior. Now, CNX 500, should we start with the weekly? Yes. CNX 500 looks more or less similar to the way the Nifty has played out. This is CNX Midcap, very, very similar behavior. And the small cap, also okay, not that great as the CNX 500 and the Midcap, but still all three of them are fairly okay placed. That is, the weekly charts, they have momentum which is slowing down, Heiken which has improved. My EMA, trend EMA is not that great, so it's got a mixed feeling to it. Essentially, all of them are range bound, back to the upper border of the range, and hopefully we'll get a breakout. This is the situation. If we go to the daily chart and we check the bar chart and all those, we will see consecutive rallies, consecutive positive days. So even if it slows down a little bit, it's okay, but the view is bullish. It's good to see that the broader markets, they have participated in the same leg as the Nifty has bounced back. Now let's come to the sectors. Now, as we will discuss the sectors, I always, open up my RRG graphs using the Strike Analytics platform. So this is the RRG page. We will come down to NSE sectors. We will go for the Nifty 500 as the benchmark. That makes more sense. On the daily time frame, we're going to change it to the weekly. And the count, we will increase it to around 12 or 13, which gives me around an understanding of around a quarter's time frame. These are all the sectoral charts. I will fit it. And we will start focusing from the leading quadrant, the sectors which are leading. This is where I have Nifty Auto, Consumer Durables, and Nifty Metal. Out of these three, Auto's positioning is significantly away from the central point, which tells me that it has enough relative strength and it's also still holding really good. I'm not surprised. You also should not be surprised because Auto is something that we've been tracking and we track the sectors every week. But Auto is something that we've been talking about, the trend is bullish, the momentum is picking up, state of flow is bullish. We've been doing this and we had the breakout. The breakout is a very successful breakout. It's holding well. So, of course, it's a bullish chart. If we go to the weekly, if we go to the daily from the weekly, we will see two legs of beautiful moves on the upside, and it had given a consolidation. This time also it is consolidating. It makes sense not to chase and work on your quantity rather than chase auto left, right, and center. View bullish, stretched, wait for better risk reward points to get into a long trade. Short, definitely no. The other one in the leading quadrant is the consumer durables. Now, consumer durables has been picking up momentum quite well and relative strength also. It has entered the leading quadrant. If you remember, consumer durables also gave us a nice breakout. This is the daily chart. That's the monthly. We're not going to talk about the monthly today. Once the month of September finishes, we'll pull that chart. So weekly, it gave a breakout. It has not run away like the CNX Auto has. And it's just cooling off a little bit. My state of flow is positive, trend momentum all fine, no problem. Come to the daily. This is the breakout, erstwhile breakout. This is the throwback. And structurally, it looks fine, no problem. So consumer durables should be in your long only basket, and you should be looking for pullback counters, stocks which can give you the bounce back. So auto and consumer durables, both in terms of RRG and actual price chart, both of them are bullish. That leaves me with the third one, which is Nifty Metal. Not enough relative strength, very close to the central point, picking up a bit of momentum of relative strength. RRG graph tells me that metals should be looked from a positive long point of view. Let's take a look at CNX Metal from the weekly point of view first. And we do see a breakout. Not bad. Trend positive, Heiken positive, momentum has turned positive, state of flow therefore positive readings all throughout the weekly time frame, closing into its all-time highs, which is a sign of strength. It's not far off from its all-time highs. With that, if I go to the daily chart, I will get a similar kind of a feel that it's a bit stretched. Beautiful readings, both in terms of trend as well as momentum. But yes, you can see that, you can understand that it has stretched a little bit. So I will not be chasing metals, though it is positive. I would be looking for a better risk reward, which means that a bit of a correction, consolidation will definitely help me to time any long trade better. So metal also more or less matches with the actual price chart. So RRG and price for the leading quadrants are fine. Now let's come to the weakening. Weakening is where we have the PSU bank, the small cap, and the mid cap. So we have spoken about the small cap and the mid cap. They have a mixed reading from the weekly time frame. They have a decent reading from the daily. That's exactly the same situation we have for the Nifty. It is range bound. We will be looking out for that breakout. Now, according to RRG graph, wherein we try to find out relative strength, it's slowing down. And that's why earlier I told you that do not be complacent. Be on your toes, especially if you're trading the broader markets, any small or mid-cap stocks. Be a little careful. That's it. This is not sign of bearishness. This is not a sign that you go short. This is a sign that it is relatively underperforming. That's it. It can go back, but it can continue to weaken also. PSU Bank has come down. PSU Bank was a leading candidate, but it fell and now it is weakening. What does the price chart tells us? The CNX PSU chart from the weekly point of view, I had this zone drawn, I don't know when. It's still holding fine. It's flat. It's completely flat. There's no point looking at any trend indicator. There's no point looking at any momentum indicator. It's clearly right in front of me, flat. It's been oscillating. I can have this area drawn, which will be my breakout close to these fractal highs. So it's just buying some time and oscillating. This is a daily time frame, and this is that same range which is drawn. From a very short-term point of view, if I take a micro look at it, the momentum, the trend, my state of flow, everything has improved, which means that the directional clarity from a short-term point of view is there. So you should look for long opportunities, especially if that particular stock or stocks are heavyweight. Then those stocks, let's say a State Bank of India, right? that enjoys the maximum weightage within the PSU banking basket. If SBI moves, if BOB and PNB, they all move, then we can get that breakout. That PSU bank breakout can definitely help Bank Nifty. Right? So PSU bank view should also be bullish. Now, because we are discussing PSU bank, it makes sense that we club and we talk about Bank Nifty, Private Bank, and CNX Finance as well. Let's first take a look at the charts. Then we will take a look at their RRG graphs. Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty from the weekly point of view has given us a meaningful correction. It has stopped at a range I had drawn because of polarity, previous highs. Trend indicator is negative, Heiken is negative, state of flow negative, everything is negative, to be honest. And last week it has given me a bounce back, just like the way it had given a couple of weeks back, right here. When this bounce back happened, consolidation happened, the very next week, the low of that week was broken and it fell. Now, again, a bounce back, a consolidation sign has emerged, which means that last week's low is going to be important for any kind of downside. And equally, last week's high will also be important for any kind of reversal. The good thing is, if you notice that the closing price is almost at the highest point of the week, this is a good thing. So what can I take out from the weekly time frame? It's a weak chart, which is just bouncing back. Weekly chart does not give me enough evidence to go long. But yes, if last week's high is crossed, expect further bounce back. Will the daily chart give me any further clarity? This is the daily time frame on the Bank Nifty. I have another range drawn, which is based on polarity, previous lows. And this is I'm expecting as the anticipated resistance area. Daily charts definitely has improved. Like most of the sectors, Nifty, everything, the short-term charts have improved. The point is, if it goes above last week's high, if I get any positive long trade from the Bank Nifty, should I take them or not? My call is, it is a divided pack. If you take a look at Axis Bank and Kotak Bank, and side by side, if you take a look at ICICI Bank and to some extent SBI, HDFC Bank has come off, but ICICI Bank and SBI, you'll see that few stocks have underperformed big time, but few have held well, relatively held well. So it's not going to be easy. When I take a look at the Bank Nifty daily and the weekly combined, I do not get the confidence, honestly, to look for long trades with a lot of conviction. There are few setups which might look good for a quick 1 or 2, 3 day kind of trade, a hit and run kind of a trade, but I don't have that conviction with which we saw a metals breakout or a consumer durables breakout. That conviction I'm not getting from the Bank Nifty. So I have unflagged it. I'm neither going to go long or short or anything. I'll rather observe. I'll observe and see whether this resistances work or not. If you get any individual stock which is really well placed on the weekly and the daily is giving you a long setup, it's worthwhile taking, right? Because things are improving. But index, I'll wait. Which means that the private banks should also give me similar kind of readings. Yes, the private bank is also giving me very, very similar. This is the Nifty Private Bank. Weekly readings and the daily readings are very similar. The Bank Nifty and Private Bank essentially kind of mirrors each other most of the time. So I will, if you ask me from the private banking point of view, I will wait for a pullback and then go for it. That can help the Bank Nifty. It all depends on which stock. Because if a Kotak Bank, Axis Bank gives a move, they're bouncing back after a significant correction. But if an SBI or an ICICI Bank gives a move, they are not bouncing back. They did not come down that much as an Axis. So we also have to keep in mind which kind of charts are supporting the Bank Nifty, if at all. But if we take a look at the CNX Finance chart, if I'm not mistaken, should give us a much better looking chart feel than what we just saw on the Bank Nifty and the private banks. Now, this is the weekly chart of CNX Finance. It just took a little bit of extra time to pop up. But nevertheless, we have a sign of consolidation, close at the highest point of the week, trend and momentum and state of flow, everything is negative. So last week's low is super crucial for CNX Finance, for Bank Nifty and for private bank. Yaad rakhiyega this. Keep this back of your mind. Now, the CNX Finance has given us a pretty good move. And so any kind of a pullback can be a long opportunity that can definitely help finance, and that can definitely. So my overall call on the bank Nifty, CNX Finance, private bank is the fact that they have bounced back. I'm not too excited to go for longs right now. The short-term charts have improved. If you give us any kind of a pullback and a follow-through move, then it's worth taking a trade. Till that point of time, PSU banks are well positioned. So if I get any trade there, I'll be more comfortable going for PSU bank at this juncture. Now we can take a look at the RRG graphs of these sectors we just discussed. And all of them, the private bank is in a lagging quadrant, going right to left, sign of weakness. Financial services going left to right and going up a little bit of short-term improvement. And then the bank Nifty, clearly a lagging sector. The problem is the bank Nifty, the private banks, the CNX Finance, and you know this, I say this almost in every video of mine, that's they enjoy the maximum weightage, almost 38-39%. So unless you have some other sectors counterbalancing this weakness, the Nifty will fall. And last week, we saw that very clearly from one sector which did counterbalance this weakness, and that is the CNX IT. Now we have come to the improving quadrant where we have CNX IT, the FMCG, and the Pharma. I'll start with IT. IT's positioning is not good. It's way away from the central line, which means it does not have a lot of relative strength. Not at all, actually. It's trying to improve. A typical index management kind of a behavior I noticed last week, wherein all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just turned around, turn on a dime, huge outside bar, where everything, majority of the readings were negative, just reverses. And this, 4.26% up move from IT definitely helped the Nifty, because the bank Nifty was positive around 1%. The IT was up 4.5%. So you understand the difference has definitely helped Nifty gain. Agar ye support nahi hota, if this support from CNX IT wasn't there last week, it wouldn't have been such a good looking weekly close. So index management, very well taken care of. IT has bounced back. Ek kaam karte, let's try and figure out what's happening on the weekly time frame. It's still in a downtrend, state of flow is negative. It just gave all of a sudden a sharp reversal. Aikanashi is nothing great. So I do not have directional clarity from the weekly time frame. I'll kind of stay away. Weekly is telling me stay away, wait for some clarity. Daily has started to improve, just like most of the sectors. So if it cools off and gives me a pullback move, I can still take a look at it, but not right now. So just like Bank Nifty and private banks, I'm not going to flag IT this week. I'm going to wait and observe for a fresh trigger to go long. अब यहाँ पे एक dilemma होने वाला है मेरे साथ with this kind of a view, because the banks and the IT together, they enjoy a lot of weightage and they are the ones that move the market. And I am going to wait and watch these two sectors. So if a movement comes in either of the two sectors, I think banks mein aa sakta hai. I will be more of an observer. I will not be able to participate in that. Okay, so that's the view, but let's see how it turns out. Apart from IT, the next two sectors which are there in the improving quadrant is FMCG, looking very nice, no problem, and Pharma also looking pretty much okay. The relative strength graphs of FMCG and Pharma tells me that these two sectors should be in the positive trend and your positive outlook. CNX FMCG weekly, state of flow positive, momentum trend positive, consolidation. If we get a break above last week's high, then this chart should go further up. So weekly chart positive, no problem there. Yes, it's got this resistance to deal with and this can lead to a big breakout. Ho sakta hai. With that in mind, I come to the daily and I see decent okayish trend, state of flow utna acha nahi hai, momentum. So it's a little choppy. This move could not sustain, but overall positive hi hai. Negative to hai nahi. resistance के आसपास it is facing a little bit of volatility, but overall it's positive, so I'll mark it positive. The next one was Pharma, which was also looking good on the RRG graph. This is CNX Pharma weekly. Trend, flat, state of flow, kuch nahi hai. When my state of flow is nothing, it means that it does not have a very good, meaningful directional clarity. So, यहाँ पे कोई directional clarity नहीं है. Come down to the daily, and the daily has signs of pretty decent improvement. It's back to its previous highs, and I have marked it positive because there can be few interesting important stocks, the large caps, the heavyweights, which can give us a move. So I've kept it positive. The relative strength positive hai. Weekly charts, let's say neutral hai. Daily chart positive hai. Let's say if we use 3 categories, के relative strength क्या बता रहा है, weekly chart क्या बता रहा है, and daily chart, what we make out from the daily chart. So in case of CNX Pharma, the weekly is neither positive nor negative. It's neutral. Daily is positive and relative strength is also improving. So if I add up, I should be predominantly a little positive. This I could not do for Bank Nifty because Bank Nifty's relative strength was not there. Bank Nifty's weekly chart was also not that great. Bank Nifty's daily chart was the only thing which is positive. So you understand why I could not flag out the banks and the IT, but I have to observe for a fresh trigger. Now, apart from these sectors, we also track 4 more, which are not there in the RRG list. Capital market. Now, capital market took a hit last week, and trend, momentum, state of flow, everything negative. It's given us a bounce back. Other last week a low toothed hai. Expect further downside. Weekly charts negative. Daily chart, polarity is playing out. So this low, Thursday's low, is going to be very, very important. So keep an eye on Thursday's lows for this index and few stocks. So I've kept it negative. Majority of the readings are on the downside. Defense. Defense moved up, I think, 7% last week. That was the biggest sectoral gainer. And defense has been taking a lot of time to bottom out. For some reason, the chart is not opening up. I will try and go to the weekly time frame. Yes, this is the defense. The indicator is taking a little bit of time to come out, but we have the chart behind it. This is Nifty India Defense. Weekly does not look that good. Right? No, this is not the India Defense. I'm sorry. This is still the capital market. It says India Defense, but the levels are that of capital market. So we have to wait for the chart to open up. Now, this is, yes, 8,000 level. Now it's India Defense. For some reason, takes a time. Weekly, trend, state of flow, all negative. All of a sudden, reverses. Big move. But still, the structure is negative. Weekly, not good. Daily, big move. Last week, if I'm not mistaken, the bar chart will give you some understanding. It was a big, I think, 7.5% kind of a move. Again, kind of little slow to open up. I should go back to the Heiken. Heiken Ashi positive, trend positive, state of flow and momentum positive. Sorry for the fact that the chart is a little, transparent kind of it's not very clear as trading view struggles to open up. There you go. So daily positive, weekly negative. We have a bounce back. It's a good close at the highest point of the day, highest point of the week. Waiting for a pullback makes sense to go long. So you can give a positive flag. I'm not giving it any flag because there is structural weakness. And so I'll wait. Digital. Now, Nifty India Digital has a lot of IT names. The top 3-4 names, if you leave from the 4th or the 5th one, the Infosys and the TCS come out. So Nifty India Digital got some help from the movement from the IT last week. This is the Indian digital chart. Again, the indicators are taking a little bit of time, but I have the Heiken Ashi. I can see a bit of a move back to trying to go back to previous fractal highs. Heiken Ashi were predominantly positive with consolidation. The weekly chart seems to be predominantly positive and it just kind of disappeared. Okay, now you're back. State of flow at my end has just turned green. So weekly charts reading is positive. Daily charts reading are also positive. So green flag, no problem. By the way, breakout candidate, typical breakout candidate, cup and handle and all those. Okay. Which leaves me to the last one. I hope the charts will open up easily. Thank you. So I have the daily. Let's go to the weekly first. And flattish, consolidating, triangular, doing the consolidation right at the all-time highs. That's why my state of flow has disappeared. My indicator is telling me, listen, I don't have any clarity. It's a breakout candidate. It has shown enough strength. तो वीकली चार्ट्स बहुत पॉजिटिव नहीं है बट अंडरलाइंग रीडिंग्स आर मेनली पॉजिटिव डेली चार्ट्स आर ऑल्सो पिकिंग अप स्लो एंड स्टेडी and so I have personally kept it in the positive category and waiting to see whether we get these two breakouts on the upside or not. The fact that this index has been particularly strong and stayed at its all-time highs और ज़्यादा कुछ correction हुआ ही नहीं है recently, that's why I am willing to give it 1 week of a green flag and see how they play out. Right? So what do we have? Let's collate all these things. We have a short-term bounce back from the Nifty from most of the sectors. The Nifty, the overall markets have been particularly choppy for the last month or so. We're back to resistances and the supports held well. The market has gone up. The benchmark Nifty 50 has gone up for successive 8 trading sessions. So be a little sensible when we start trading the next week from tomorrow and look for relative strength. Wait for some high conviction moves, especially from the sectors which I have marked green. Let's see whether that happens or not. And all eyes are going to be on the banks and the private banks. IT, after such a sharp revival, can slow down. So I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think trading is going to be easy. We have to be a little careful. We have to be ultra selective. We need to go for those trades where the conviction is the max. Right? Let's see what's in store for us. If we get a pretty good move above the 25, 200, 300, then we will be in a beautiful high conviction zone, a pretty good, uptrend state. But I don't think the index will decide that easily. Let's see what's in store for us the next week. Do share your thoughts. Do let me know what are your thoughts. And prepare well and trade well, everyone. Take care.